I think I didn't do anything wrong, just found happiness where I could. After all, I deserved a little escape from my boring marriage. That's why, when I saw the legal papers delivered on our honeymoon suite, right after everyone saw those yoga trip videos, I was honestly shocked that anyone thought I was the villain. Let me start from the beginning, because I think you'll understand once you hear my side of the story. The morning light filtered through our suburban kitchen windows as I sipped my coffee, watching Dorian methodically eat his cereal while scrolling through his phone. Same routine, every single day for the past 8 years. Clara, our 6-year-old daughter, chatted about her upcoming school project, but Dorian barely looked up from his business analyst reports. This was my life, predictable, suffocating, mind-numbingly boring. I'm thinking of joining that new yoga studio downtown, I announced, testing the waters. The one with the meditation retreats. Dorian glanced up briefly. That's nice, honey. Whatever makes you happy. See? He didn't even care enough to ask details. That's when I knew I needed something more, something that would make me feel alive again. Before we dive deeper into the story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. The Serenity Flow Studio was everything our home wasn't. Vibrant, energetic, full of life. And that's where I met Leo Caro. At 30, he had this effortless charisma that drew everyone in. His dark hair was always perfectly tousled, and when he adjusted my poses with those gentle hands, I felt electricity I hadn't experienced in years. "You're a natural," he said after my 3rd class, his smile making my heart race. "Have you considered our weekend retreats? They're transformative." I should have said no. I should have gone home to my husband and daughter. But when Leo looked at me like that, like I was actually worth paying attention to, how could I resist? "I'd love to hear more," I heard myself saying. That evening, Dorian was buried in his laptop as usual when I brought up the retreats. "They're weekend workshops," I explained, already crafting my story. "Meditation, mindfulness, digital detox. No phones allowed, so I won't be reachable." "Sounds expensive," he said without looking up. "It's an investment in my mental health, Dorian. Some of us need more than spreadsheets to feel fulfilled." He winced at my sharp tone, and I immediately felt guilty. But then I remembered how he'd ignored Clara's story about her art project. How he'd forgotten our anniversary dinner last month. How he made me feel invisible in my own home. "Of course," he said quietly, "whatever you need." My first retreat was actually a weekend at Leo's apartment. We ordered takeout, talked for hours about life and dreams and everything I felt was missing from my marriage. When he kissed me, I told myself this wasn't really cheating. It was self-care. "You deserve to be happy, Irene," Leo whispered, and I believed him. Over the next few months, my yoga trips became more frequent. Leo and I would drive to nearby towns, take photos at scenic spots, live in our own little bubble where my real life couldn't touch us. I started a private photo album on my phone, capturing these moments of pure freedom. But Dorian was starting to ask questions. "Another retreat?" he said when I announced my 4th trip in 2 months. "Didn't you just go last weekend?" "Different focus," I said smoothly. "This one's about chakra alignment. You wouldn't understand. Try me." I felt trapped, cornered. "Why are you being so paranoid? Can't I have something that's just mine? You're always working, always distracted. At least the yoga community actually values personal growth." "I'm not trying to control you, Irene. I just what? You don't trust me? After 8 years of marriage, you think I'm lying to you?" The hurt in his eyes almost made me confess everything. Almost. "I trust you," he said finally. "I'm sorry." That night, I called my mother, Mara, needing validation. "You're absolutely right to take time for yourself," she said firmly. "Men don't understand that women need space to breathe, to grow. Don't let him guilt you into giving up something that makes you happy." But when I mentioned it to my brother Sam during our weekly coffee date, his reaction was different. 4 weekends in 2 months. He frowned. "That seems like a lot. How's Dorian handling all the solo parenting?" "He's fine. It's good for him to actually spend time with his daughter. Irene, that's not fair. He works hard to provide for you both. Whose side are you on? I snapped. I'm finally doing something for myself, and everyone wants to tear me down. Sam held up his hands. I'm on your side. I just want to make sure you're not running from something instead of running to something. I left our coffee date feeling frustrated. Why couldn't anyone understand that I deserved happiness, that I was suffocating in my perfect suburban life? That weekend, Leo and I drove to a bed and breakfast in the mountains. We hiked, laughed, made love like teenagers. I felt beautiful, desired, alive. Leo filmed me dancing on the hiking trail, both of us giddy with freedom. I wish we could stay here forever, I said, curled up against his chest. Maybe someday, he murmured, but something in his voice had changed. What's wrong? Nothing. It's just, this is getting complicated, Irene. Your husband, your daughter. Don't you feel guilty? Guilty for being happy, for finding someone who actually sees me. But you're married, and Clara has a father who actually pays attention to her when I'm gone. If anything, I'm helping their relationship. Leo was quiet for a long time. Maybe you should think about leaving him, making this official. The suggestion sent panic through me. Leave Dorian, leave our house, our life, our stability. It's not that simple. I need time. How much time? I don't know. Can't we just enjoy what we have? But I could see doubt creeping into Leo's eyes, and it terrified me. I couldn't lose this, the one thing that made me feel like myself. When I got home Sunday night, Dorian was waiting up. How was the retreat? He asked, and something in his tone made me nervous. Wonderful, very centering. I kept my voice light, casual. That's good. I'm glad you're finding what you need. He kissed my forehead and headed upstairs, but I caught him glancing at my phone on the counter. A chill ran down my spine, but I pushed it away. Dorian wasn't suspicious by nature. He trusted me. Later that night, after I'd fallen asleep, I didn't notice the soft glow of my phone screen as Dorian carefully copied my photos and messages to a secure drive. I didn't see him screenshot my location history, my credit card statements, my carefully crafted lies. I was too busy dreaming about my next escape to realize that my perfect deception was already unraveling. The Serenity Flow studio became my sanctuary, and Leo became my addiction. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, I'd tell Dorian I had regular classes, but really Leo and I would slip away to quiet cafes or his apartment. The thrill of our secret made everything more intense. I booked us a cabin for next weekend, Leo said, pulling me close after a particularly steamy, private session in his studio office. 3 days in wine country. I told the studio I'm doing a teacher training retreat. 3 days? My heart raced. I've never been away that long. You said you wanted more time together. He was right. I'd been complaining about our stolen hours, wishing we could have real time together, but 3 days meant more elaborate lies, more chances to get caught. I'll figure something out, I promised. At work the next day, I crafted my story carefully. I was an HR administrator at a mid-sized company, and I'd gotten good at manipulating my schedule. A few adjusted timesheets here, some creative sick days there. No one really tracked the HR department that closely. I need to take Friday and Monday off, I told my supervisor. Family emergency. Everything okay? My aunt's in the hospital, out of state. I might need to extend it depending on how she's doing. The lies came so easily now, too easily. That evening, I presented my story to Dorian with practiced sincerity. The yoga studio is offering an advanced retreat in Napa, I explained, showing him the brochure I'd printed from their website. It's expensive, but it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. 4 days of intensive training with master instructors. Dorian studied the brochure. $400. It includes meals and lodging, and I've been working so hard on my practice. Of course, he said, but I caught him glancing at our joint credit card statement on his desk. We can make it work. You're the best husband ever, I said, kissing his cheek and hating myself for how easily the manipulation came. The weekend in wine country was magical. Leo and I stayed at a boutique inn, toured vineyards, made love under the stars. I felt like a completely different person, carefree, passionate, alive. Leo took dozens of photos of me laughing in the vineyard, videos of us dancing to music from his phone, intimate moments I wanted to remember forever. "I love seeing you like this," he said, filming me as I twirled in a sundress between the grapevines. "So free, so beautiful." "I love being like this," I replied, spinning toward the camera with my arms outstretched. "I love being with you." But on our last night, Leo grew quiet over dinner. "What's wrong?" I asked. "I've been thinking about what you said, about your husband not appreciating you." "What about it?" "Some of the things you've told me, calling you names, controlling your money, getting angry when you go out with friends. That's not okay, Irene." I had embellished some of our arguments, painted Dorian as more controlling than he actually was. It made me feel better about the affair, made Leo more protective of me. "He's not physically abusive or anything," I said quickly. "Emotional abuse is still abuse. You deserve better." "I know, that's why I have you. But this sneaking around, I feel like I'm helping him hurt you by keeping you trapped." "You're not trapping me, you're saving me." Leo reached across the table and took my hand. "Maybe it's time to be honest. Tell him you want a divorce, that you found someone who actually values you." The word divorce sent ice through my veins. "I can't just blow up my whole life, Leo. I have Clara to think about. She deserves to see her mother happy. She deserves stability. And Dorian, he's not a bad father, just a bad husband." Leo's expression shifted, disappointment flickering in his eyes. "So what are we doing here, Irene? What's the endgame? Can't we just be happy with what we have? These stolen moments, these perfect weekends. For how long? Forever?" I didn't have an answer, and the silence stretched between us like a chasm. When I returned home, Dorian was in the kitchen making Clara's lunch for school. "How was the retreat?" he asked without looking up. "Transformative," I said, the lie bitter on my tongue. "I learned so much about myself." "That's wonderful. Clara missed you." "Where is she?" "Upstairs, getting ready for bed. She made you a welcome home card." Guilt crashed over me as I climbed the stairs to Clara's room. She was in her pajamas, carefully coloring a drawing of stick figures labeled Mommy, Daddy, and me. "I missed you, Mommy," she said, hugging me tight. "Daddy said you were learning to be more peaceful." "That's right, sweetheart. Are you more peaceful now?" I looked into her innocent eyes and felt like a fraud. "I'm trying to be." Over the next few weeks, I noticed changes in Dorian. He was quieter, more distant. Sometimes I'd catch him watching me with an expression I couldn't read. When I asked what was wrong, he'd just say he was tired from work. My brother Sam invited me to lunch, and I could tell something was bothering him too. "You seem different lately," he said over our salads. "Distracted." "I'm fine. Great, actually. The yoga has really been helping." "Mum mentioned you're going on a lot of retreats." So? So it's expensive, isn't it? And time-consuming. How does Dorian feel about it?" "He's supportive, unlike some people." "I'm not unsupportive, Irene. I'm concerned. You're my sister, and you seem, I don't know, manic? Like you're running from something." "The only thing I'm running from is a boring life. Sorry if self-improvement makes you uncomfortable." "It's not self-improvement I'm worried about. It's the secrecy, the defensiveness. You're different." "I'm happier." "Are you? Because you seem more anxious than I've ever seen you." I left lunch angry and shaken. Why couldn't anyone just be happy for me? Why did everyone want to drag me back down into suburban mediocrity? That afternoon, my supervisor called me into her office. "Irene, I need to ask you about some discrepancies in your timesheets." My blood ran cold. "Discrepancies?" "You've been claiming sick days and personal time, but your computer login shows you weren't working those hours, and there are some questions about the family emergency last month." "I don't understand." "We called the hospital you mentioned to send flowers for your aunt. They have no record of anyone by that name being admitted." The room spun around me. There must be some mistake. "I hope so, but I need you to know that timesheet fraud is grounds for termination. If there's something going on, now would be the time to explain. Everything's fine, I managed. I'll look into the hospital thing. Maybe there was a miscommunication. Okay, but Irene, be careful. Your job is important, and I'd hate to see you throw it away over something foolish. That evening, I was a wreck. Leo texted asking about our plans for the weekend, but I couldn't focus on anything except the walls closing in around me. You seem stressed, Dorian observed over dinner. Just work stuff. Anything I can help with? I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in months. His kind eyes, his genuine concern, the way he'd taken over bedtime stories with Clara without complaint during my absences. For a moment, I wanted to confess everything, to throw myself on his mercy and beg forgiveness. Instead, I said, "It's nothing, just office politics." That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling while Dorian slept beside me. My phone buzzed with a text from Leo. "Missing you. Can't wait for tomorrow night." I should have ended it then. Should have deleted his number, quit the yoga studio, focused on rebuilding my marriage. Instead, I texted back, "Me too. I love you." I didn't notice Dorian's breathing change slightly beside me. Didn't realize he was awake, staring at the ceiling too, knowing exactly what I was doing but waiting, gathering evidence, preparing for what came next. The trap was closing around me, but I was too intoxicated by my double life to see it. My friends had always been my refuge, but lately, even they were becoming part of my elaborate web of lies. At our monthly girls' night at Marcello's downtown, I found myself painting an increasingly distorted picture of my home life. "Dorian's been so controlling lately," I complained over my third glass of wine. "He questions every penny I spend, every place I go. It's suffocating." My friend Tasha raised an eyebrow. "That doesn't sound like the Dorian I know." "You don't live with him," I snapped. "He puts on a good show in public, but at home he's constantly monitoring me, making me feel guilty for having any independence." "Maybe he's just concerned," suggested another friend, Maya. "You have been out a lot lately with all those yoga things." "See? Even you're taking his side. This is exactly what I'm talking about. God forbid a woman try to find herself, try to grow beyond being just a wife and mother." The table fell silent. I could see the doubt in their eyes, but I pressed on, desperate for validation. "He barely talks to Clara anymore unless I'm not there. Then suddenly he's Father of the Year, making me look like the bad parent for taking time for myself." "Irene," Tasha said carefully, "maybe you should consider couples therapy. Work through whatever's going on between you two." "What's going on is that I married someone who wants a housewife, not a partner. Someone who sees me as an accessory to his boring life." I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a photo from last Christmas. Dorian and me smiling by the tree, Clara on his shoulders. "Look at this. The perfect family, right? But you know what happened 5 minutes after this photo?" He went back to his laptop. "On Christmas morning." It wasn't true. We'd spent the whole day together, playing with Clara, cooking dinner, watching movies. But the lie felt real in that moment, justified by my need to make them understand. "I just think you should be careful," Tasha said quietly. "Whatever's going on with you lately, just be careful." I laughed bitterly. Careful of what? Living my life? Finding happiness? Careful of burning down everything good for something that might not be real. How do you know what's real for me? The tension at the table was suffocating. I excused myself to the bathroom and immediately texted Leo. "Need to see you tonight. Can you meet?" His response came quickly. "At the studio in an hour." When I returned to the table, I made my excuses and left early, ignoring the concerned looks from my friends. Leo was waiting for me in his darkened studio, candles lit, soft music playing. He pulled me into his arms, and for a moment, all my stress melted away. "Rough night?" he asked, kissing my neck. "Everyone's against me. My friends, my family, even my co-workers are asking questions." "What kind of questions?" "About my schedule, my trips, my marriage. It's like they're all conspiring to drag me back into my cage." Leo pulled back to look at me. Maybe they're concerned about you, not you too. I'm just saying, maybe the secrecy is getting to everyone, including us. What do you mean? I mean, I hate sneaking around. I hate that I can't take you out properly, can't introduce you to my friends, can't post pictures of us together. You knew the situation when this started. I know, but it's been 6 months, Irene. 6 months of stolen moments and elaborate lies. When does it end? I don't know, I said honestly. I just know I'm not ready to blow up my whole life. But you're okay with living a lie. I'm okay with being happy. Why is that so wrong? Leo sighed and pulled me close again. It's not wrong. I just wish things were different. They are different. When I'm with you, everything's different. We made love that night with a desperate intensity, as if we both sensed something shifting, something ending. Afterward, as I lay in his arms, Leo filmed me with his phone. What are you doing? Capturing this moment. You look so beautiful, so peaceful. Send it to me. Of course. I should have been more careful about those videos, those photos. Should have kept them more secure, more hidden, but I was addicted to the evidence of my happiness, proof that this other version of myself existed. The next morning, I woke up in my own bed to find Dorian already gone, and Clara eating cereal alone in the kitchen. Where's Daddy? I asked. He left early for work. He seemed sad. Sad how? Like when you're sad but trying not to show it. Children see everything, don't they? I knelt down beside Clara's chair. Daddy's not sad, sweetheart. He's just busy with work. Are you and Daddy getting divorced like Emma's parents? The question hit me like a physical blow. Why would you ask that? Emma said her parents used to fight quietly, and then one day her daddy moved out. Daddy and I aren't fighting. But you're not talking either, and you're gone a lot. I pulled Clara into a hug, guilt crushing my chest. I'm sorry I've been away so much, but it's to help me be a better mommy. You're already a good mommy. That evening, I decided to make an effort. I cooked Dorian's favorite dinner, opened a bottle of wine, put on the dress he'd bought me for our anniversary. This is nice, he said when he came home, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. I thought we could have a quiet evening together, just us. What about Clara? She's at my mum's for the night. We ate dinner making small talk about work, the weather, anything but the growing distance between us. After dinner, I suggested we look through old photos on my laptop. Remember this? I said, clicking on a folder labeled Family Vacations. Our trip to the beach last summer. But as I scrolled through the photos, I accidentally clicked on the wrong folder, my private album. For just a second, a photo of Leo and me kissing in the vineyard flashed on the screen before I quickly closed it. Sorry, I said, my heart pounding. Wrong folder. Dorian's face had gone completely still. What was that? What was what? That photo. I don't know what you mean. It was just a random screenshot or something. Irene. The way he said my name, quiet, resigned, heartbroken, told me he knew. Somehow he knew everything. I can explain, I started. Can you? It's not what it looked like. What did it look like? I stared at him, this man I'd shared 8 years of my life with, and realized I had no idea what to say. The lies I'd been living felt so real, so justified in my head, but faced with his quiet dignity, they crumbled. I never meant for this to happen, I whispered, but it did happen. Yes. How long? 6 months. He nodded slowly, as if confirming something he already knew. The yoga instructor. How did you... I'm not stupid, Irene. Distant, boring, inattentive, but not stupid. Dorian, I need you to leave tonight. What? Go to your mother's, go to a hotel, I don't care. But I need you out of this house tonight so I can think. You can't just kick me out. This is my home too. Is it? Because for the past 6 months, it seems like you've been living somewhere else entirely. I wanted to argue, to fight, to make him the villain like I had in all my stories. But looking at his face, the betrayal, the exhaustion, the quiet strength, I realized I'd lost the right to fight. Can we talk about this tomorrow? Maybe, but tonight I need space. As I packed a bag, my phone buzzed with texts from my friends, probably discussing my outburst at dinner. One message stood out, from Tasha. Whatever's going on, I'm here if you need to talk, but please be honest. With yourself, if no one else. I threw the phone in my bag and drove to my mother's house, my perfect double life finally collapsing around me. But even then, I couldn't admit the truth to myself. This was all Dorian's fault for being suspicious, for not trusting me, for not being the husband I needed. I had no idea that while I was driving away, Dorian was sitting in his study, organizing 6 months' worth of evidence into a neat folder labeled divorce. Phone records, credit card statements, location data, photos, videos, everything I thought I'd hidden so carefully. The reckoning was coming, and I was completely unprepared for how thorough it would be. 3 weeks after our separation, I convinced Dorian to go through with the wedding. Not because we were reconciling, but because I couldn't bear the thought of cancelling, of admitting failure to everyone we knew. We can figure things out after, I pleaded during one of our tense phone conversations, but the deposits are non-refundable. Everyone's already made plans. Clara's so excited about being flower girl. Irene, this is insane. We're separated. We're having problems. Lots of couples have problems. This could be a fresh start, a renewal of our commitment. You had an affair. I made a mistake, a stupid, selfish mistake that's over now. That wasn't entirely true. Leo and I had tried to end things, but the pull between us was too strong. We'd been meeting secretly, though less frequently, and I'd convinced myself that once the wedding was over, once life settled down, I'd figure out what I really wanted. Please, Dorian, one day. Give us one day to remember why we fell in love. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line, and I knew I'd won. Fine, but we're not sharing a room at the hotel, and after this, we're filing for divorce. After this, we'll see. The wedding venue was everything I'd dreamed of. A sprawling country estate with gardens and a stone terrace overlooking rolling hills. I'd spent months planning every detail, and I wasn't going to let my marital problems ruin it. My bridesmaids were confused but supportive. I'd told them Dorian and I were working through some issues, but that the wedding was a symbol of our commitment to try. Are you sure about this? Tasha asked as she helped me into my dress. You seem manic. I'm fine. Better than fine. Today is going to be perfect. And for a while it was. The ceremony was beautiful, our vows heartfelt, even if they felt like lies in my mouth. And the reception was everything I'd envisioned. But underneath the perfection, tension simmered. Dorian played his part flawlessly, the devoted husband, the happy groom. But I could see the strain in his eyes, the way he avoided looking at me directly, the careful distance he maintained, even during our first dance. You're a good actor, I whispered as we swayed to our wedding song. I'm not acting, he replied quietly. I'm grieving. The words hit me harder than any accusation could have. During the cocktail hour, I found myself scanning the crowd for Leo. I'd invited him, not as my lover, but as my yoga instructor. It seemed like the perfect cover, and part of me wanted him to see me in my wedding dress, to see what he was fighting for. I found him by the bar, looking uncomfortable in his borrowed suit. You came, I said, approaching him carefully. I shouldn't have. I'm glad you did. Irene, this is crazy. You're marrying another man. I'm trying to figure things out. By lying to everyone. By keeping my options open. Leo looked at me like he didn't recognize me. What happened to the woman who wanted to be free? Who talked about authentic living and following her heart? She's still here. She's just complicated. She's a coward. The accusation stung because it was true, but before I could respond, my mother appeared at my elbow. Irene, darling, they need you for photos. I followed her back, leaving Leo at the bar and my conscience behind. The photos were agony, forced smiles, hollow laughter, pretending to be blissful while my marriage rotted from the inside out. Dorian's family was polite but cold. Mine was overly cheerful, trying to hide what everyone already sensed. "Beautiful ceremony," Dorian's mother murmured. "Thank you. I hope you know what you're doing. I'm marrying your son. Isn't that what you wanted?" I wanted him happy. I'm not sure this will do it. Her words clung to me as I drank through dinner, stealing glances at Leo across the room. When my brother toasted to my happiness, I nearly laughed, if only he knew. Later, I found Leo on the terrace. "Dance with me," I begged. "This is your wedding," he said. "One dance." He finally took my hand, and for a brief moment, the music blurred the world away. "I love you," I whispered. "Don't," he said. "You're living a lie." "But it's a safe one." He looked at me like he pitied me. Then I guess courage was too much to ask. A bridesmaid interrupted, calling me back for the cake. I left him in the dark, where I belonged. Then came the slideshow, the one I'd made to show our story. The lights dimmed, music swelled, and my life unraveled in front of 200 people. First came our college photos, then the images shifted. Leo's hands on my waist, his lips on my neck, our bodies in bed. The gasps spread like wildfire. I couldn't breathe. Dorian didn't move. He just watched, perfectly calm, like a man who'd already mourned. "Turn it off," I screamed, but it was too late. Every lie I'd ever told was playing in high definition. When the screen finally went black, silence swallowed the room. Dorian stood, straightened his tie, and walked out without a word. My brother's voice broke the quiet. "How could you do this to him? To Clara?" "It was a mistake," I whispered. "No," he said. "It was a choice." I ran after Dorian, still in my wedding dress, finding him in the parking lot loading his car. "Dorian, wait, we can fix this." He turned to me, face blank. "It's over, Irene. Please, counseling, therapy. It's over." And just like that, he drove away, leaving me alone under the string lights and exhaust fumes, the bride of her own downfall. The perfect wedding I'd demanded had become the perfect ending. My lies finally catching up, dressed in white. I spent my wedding night alone in the honeymoon suite, still in my dress, staring at untouched champagne and rose petals. The irony was suffocating. I'd fought so hard for a perfect wedding, and now I was sitting in the ruins of my own creation. Around midnight, a hotel employee brought me an envelope. Inside, notice of divorce proceedings and a custody petition. At the bottom, in Dorian's handwriting, "Please don't contact me directly." By morning, the video was everywhere. Cheating bride exposed. Millions of views, memes, comments calling me soulless, shameless, broken. My mother's voice was flat when I asked how it happened. "He didn't find out last night, Irene. He planned it, and you earned it." Even Leo, the man I'd risked everything for, was furious. "You ruined my career," he said before hanging up for good. Within days, I lost my job, my friends, my reputation. But what hurt most was Clara. When she came to pack her things, she asked quietly, "Mommy, did you make Daddy sad?" I told her yes. She asked if I'd fix it. I said I'd try. Dorian's silence told me I wouldn't get the chance. The legal papers arrived next. Evidence of everything. Messages, credit card charges, photos, and at the end, a custody proposal that stripped me of nearly everything but supervised visits. My lawyer called it a strong case. I called it what it was: consequences. That night, I went through old family photos. In every one, Dorian looked at me with love I no longer deserved. I'd called him distant, controlling, anything to avoid admitting what I'd become. But the truth was simple. He hadn't destroyed me. I had. Some mistakes don't fade with time. They echo. And as the world replayed my downfall on endless loops, I realized the worst part wasn't losing Dorian or the life I'd built. It was realizing I'd destroyed the only people who'd ever truly loved me, and done it in front of everyone. 6 months after the wedding disaster, I sat across from Dorian in a sterile conference room, waiting to sign away our marriage. He looked nothing like the man I'd married, calmer, colder, and stronger somehow. His lawyer outlined the terms. Dorian would keep the house and primary custody of Clara. I'd get supervised visitation and a payment plan for my share of the assets. The circumstances, as everyone politely called them, were the viral wedding video, the one where my affair had been exposed in front of everyone we knew. My name had become shorthand for betrayal. When Dorian's attorney mentioned the non-disclosure agreement, I realized just how far ahead he'd planned. He could have destroyed me completely, legally, financially, but he was giving me a way to survive. I signed without hesitation. When the lawyer stepped out, I finally looked at him. "I'm sorry," I said. "Not for getting caught, for what I did." He nodded. "Thank you. Do you think we could ever be friends? For Clara?" "Maybe," he said, "but it'll take time." I asked if he'd ever been happy. "Yes," he said quietly. "I thought you were too." "I was. I just forgot what real happiness looked like." He nodded once. "I hope you find it honestly this time." After he left, I sat in my car and read a text from Clara. "Daddy says I can call you tonight after dinner." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. That night, in my empty apartment, Clara told me over the phone about butterflies, that they dissolve completely before they're reborn. "It's called metamorphosis," she said. I thought about that long after the call ended. Maybe that was what I was doing, breaking down completely before becoming someone new. I'd lost my husband, my home, my reputation, but I still had a chance to become the kind of person my daughter could trust again. It wouldn't be perfect or pretty, but for the first time, it would be real. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.